Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Settle. I'm the Sonic Shaman, and I'm supposed to be recording right now for like a podcast, but I either had the time zone wrong or I'm being stood up. So I'm like waiting here for a little bit, and I thought, well, as long as I'm waiting, supposed to being doing a recording, why not come on and do a random live stream to answer random questions about random things? So I'll repeat that again because there's no one watching yet. So I will see if people hop on because this was not scheduled. No one knows that I was about to go on. So if you're tuning in, let's have some random fun, right? Let me just make this public on my page real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. Public. All right, cool. Hello, everybody. Oh, one person's watching now. My name's Hank Settle. I'm the Sonic Shaman, and I'm supposed to be doing a recording right now for a podcast that's going to be airing like sometime next month. And I might have gotten the time zone wrong, so I'm sitting at my office, and I didn't have anything else to do except wait. And I thought, well, let me just hop on and we'll do a random live stream talking about or answering random questions about random things. So if you're watching, if you have a question about anything at all, healing wise, NLP wise, shaman wise, sound healing wise, anything at all, feel free to ask the question and we'll see what comes through. Hello. Oh, there's more people tuning in now. This is just a random stream. It's going to be 100% directed by questions, if there's any, because I'm supposed to be doing a recording. And that being said, if all of a sudden they ping me that we're ready to record, then I'll be ending the broadcast kind of early. But my name's Hank Settle. I'm the Sonic Shaman. I am in North Olmsted, Ohio. If you're watching me virtually, I'm here at the Emergence of Being Center with my tuning forks behind me. I got my cool Mesa. Let's see if I can show you a Mesa spread. Oh, I'm getting locked down there. Okay, you can kind of see it over there. A little bit random. But this is a very just laid back stream today because I had no plan other than I was bored and I figured why not come on and see what random shenanigans we can get into. But anything on anyone's mind. It can be a question about anything. It could be just wanting to know about something. For those of you who don't know my background, I have studied like esoteric astrology, all the Alice Bailey work, Secret Doctrine, attended Rishi's Metaphysical School for quite some time, which is in Euclid, Ohio. I went to the School of Healing and Prophecy in Lilydale, New York to train as a metaphysician and a medium, also an ordained minister through there, learned from tons of different sound healers, including one of my favorites, Dr. John Boyu, the author of Human Tuning, which is the #1 book I recommend if you're looking to dabble a little bit into the realm of tuning forks. He has, I feel, one of the most comprehensive books. And the real cool thing is he is a clinical psychologist. So he's really looking at it, though he's intuitive, he went at it from the science mindset. And that's why I feel that it's such a great book. And it's also kind of a bridging modality because people who come to me that were sent by their wives that have their arms crossed like this, it's modalities like that, like aromatherapy that has some clinical studies behind it. Yes, I am bored, Michael Searching Bear. There's too much snow up here. No, I'm actually kind of waiting for someone to show up to do a podcast recording. I'm going to be on a podcast. We're going to record today, and I might have the time zone wrong, so I might have till like 11 or so. You would like to know about angel tuning forks. So, Ernie, when you say angel tuning forks, are you referring to like the actual angel tuners or archangels or all the above, none of the above? I don't know if I have all the angel tuners sets here. 4,096. No, I do have them. So there's two sets that deal with angels. One of which is the angel tuning set, which is these three little guys, and the other one is the archangel set, which some of them are missing because I never put my stuff back when I'm done using them. But the one that people like to start with typically is this little set of three. And it is 4,096, which can also be bought as a separate fork. This would be the crystal tuner, if you've ever heard of me talk about the crystal tuner before. And this is actually one of the forks from Dr. John Boyu's work. When he started, he's kind of like the godfather of tuning forks. And he's the reason why we have all of this in sound healing today, because he read a book called The Maharishi Effect. And he read in there about somebody in an anechoic chamber hearing these frequencies in their body. An anechoic chamber is something that is completely soundproof. When you go in, the only sounds you're going to hear are coming from you. There's no outside sound at all. And he had this theory thinking about it that he wondered if you activate a tuning fork if the pitch of your nervous system might shift or the frequencies of the body might shift. So he went to a music store and he bought probably a 440 fork, I'm not sure. And he's like racing back to the university where he had permission to use this anechoic chamber. And he gets pulled over by a state trooper. And the trooper, when he sees the tuning fork on the side of the seat, says, "Hey, what's all that about?" And Dr. John Boyce started to tell him about the story or his theory about being able to tune the human body. And the trooper actually has him get out of the car, goes to the police cruiser, and he holds up like probably a fork a little bit taller than this. He said, "Do you know what this is?" And Dr. John Boyce says, "Well, it's a small fork. It must make a really high pitch." And the trooper shared with him that it's the tuning fork to calibrate the radar gun. And the interesting thing is that when the trooper activates the fork to calibrate the gun for a period of time, he can look at a car and just know how fast it's going and then verify it with the radar gun. And Dr. John took it as kind of validation that you can, in fact, tune the human body. He did get the speeding ticket, in case you were wondering, but the trooper got him all the information about the manufacturer and he started having forks made. And as he was experimenting with everything, he came up with what he decided to make his set off based off of was the Schumann resonance, which at the time fluctuated. It's always fluctuating, but it was around 8 cycles per second. So he picked 8 cycles per second as a fundamental. You double that to 16, you double that to 32, which is our first osteophonic fork. Kind of getting ahead of myself. I was going to talk about some of this stuff on Tuesday, so we'll just have a double dose of tuning forks. So this is the first osteophonic fork, which means to vibrate bone. You double that again, you get 64, which is a little smaller. Double it again, 128. Double it again, 256. Double it again, 512. Between those is the solar harmonic set, which we will dive deeper into next week. Double it again, double it again. Eventually you get to 4096. So all of that was really to just share with you that this frequency is an earth frequency. And if you go back the other way, if you half of 8 is 4, 2, 1. So you're starting from a 1 cycle fundamental tone. So I feel that this set and these forks, it's all kind of bringing you back to oneness. It's bringing you back to like the original just 1 cycle when we started to have something other than all there is all at once in the ever-present moment of now. When we started to have this duality, that is kind of a symbol of the first expression that it's separate. So anyway, 4096 is the like energetic sage, and it can help pling out everything heavy that would prevent you from tapping into your guides, angels, teachers, and that type of thing. We add to that's a C note, C 4096. You have 4160, 4225. That's the D and the E, and they call this Jacob's ladder. And when you activate all of them together, we'll see if you can hear it on the internet. Guys, water. You know, I'm not, but and then and be able to communicate with angels, teachers, and all that good stuff. Don't like that. I told you this is a really laid back live stream, as you hear me trying to find my Ethernet cable. Bear with me. Oh, there it is. Plugging it in now. You guys are like, what is he doing back there? He's being so noisy. Just being, oops, authentic. You see, that big crash you just heard was me hitting the microphone with the tuning fork. That will knock some sense into everybody, right? All right. Wow, everybody's still watching through that. Thank you so much for sticking in with me. So anyway, Hi, Mary Ford. Please, you played them and it's robotic. Okay, well, I just plugged in. I should hopefully have better internet now. So, actually, let's see which internet connection I'm on. That might be, well, now I'm plugged in, so it doesn't matter. So, here we go. Here's the three again. Am I sounding better, Mary, Ernie? So I'm going to ring them again, and let me run this clearing first. Clearing is a tool from Access Consciousness. What energy, space, consciousness, and choice could your body, being, and beyond be to effortlessly receive guidance and contribution from your spirit team with total ease? And everything that doesn't allow that, we're willing to destroy and uncreate. And then as you settle into that energy from the clearing, just allow the sounds to kind of permeate around you, creating the space where you can really connect. That's the angel tuners. And more than that, any modality you're doing, if you're like moving through their energy field and you come up with like a real heaviness, just a crystal tuner by itself is like energetic sage. I think Mary just bought a set actually from Goddess Elite. And it just really helps to break up that energy and enlighten it. And everything is source. There's nothing that's not source. Call it light, call it love, call it whatever. Everything is source, and everything is all there is all at once, and all it is either condensed source or lightened source, like more spaced out source, but it's all source. So our heaviness, our shadow, all of that is simply a lot of source condensed, and when we start to lighten that up, that becomes fuel to help us move forward into possibilities. So it's really important to not close your door on your shadow, and don't be what I call an A to B healer. So there's some people, no, I'm sure no one watching this stream, that when they do healing work, they find like kucha or something like that, and they're like, oh, we don't want that. We'll just move from here to over here. And it doesn't actually transform it. So I'm a big advocate of deal with the mess and use it as fuel to propel into possibilities. I don't have all the angels here because I was doing healing the other day, and I don't want to go look for them right now. But using the Kabbalah, the Archangel set was basically the names and broken down into numerology. And then they came up with frequencies. They consider it proprietary, so I don't know what the frequencies are. And I was very skeptical when I first got it. So what I did when I first got it, for those of you who know my friend Ryan Dean, he works a lot with Metatron. And he didn't know what tuning forks that I have. I mean, look how many forks I have. There's no way he would know like what set I was getting, what fork was relating to what type of energy. But I took the fork from Metatron, which is one of the ones that's running around here somewhere, and I activated that. I said, I just want to see what comes to your mind. And I played it for him on either side of the head, and he's like, Metatron, like he recognized it. So whatever the lady did, I felt had value. But this one is Raziel, and I do have a my Sonic Shaman YouTube channel, which if you're not watching, that's the best place to watch. I had a client in Australia that wanted to hear the set, so I did like a whole recording walking through each one of the angel sets or archangel sets. So if you want to hear them all, because I don't have them all here, you can go find that video. Maybe I'll post it afterwards. This one, I can't even pronounce it. Tzapphquiel. And then these two together, Raziel. And then we'll add Gabriel in too. So the real magic in sound healing is when you start mixing the sounds. And then we got Haniel. And we're adding in Camiel. And we got, this one I don't believe is an angel. It's like kind of like the energy that holds it all together. They have it as Shekinah. Not sure how to pronounce that either. Some fun tuning forks. Should check my phone, make sure that the person that's done running the podcast didn't message me or anything. Nope, she didn't. Cool. This is probably more fun than I was going to have on that. I'm kidding. And then I only have one more here, and the rest I would have to look for. This one, the name is spelled Tzadkiel. And one time all together. you ever get forks too, you always want to hit them right at the 90-degree angle. You get the best sound. And you also get a better sound if you kind of do a light knee tap and then you bounce them off of each other rather than hitting them when they're not vibrating. You get just a much cleaner tone, a lot more overtones and that kind of thing. But if you're going to work with the archangels, like the real idea is that you're taking their frequency and you're anchoring it within you, and you're developing a relationship and a creationship with these like angel entities or whatever frequency that you're working with, because every frequency has like a consciousness in and of itself. And you're developing that creationship with it, so that if you work with the crystal tuner all the time, and now you're in Walmart and there's people, spouting hoochah and doing all kinds of crazy things, and you feel out of sorts, you've had that frequency enough where without the fork, you're able to bring that energy in and kind of clear the space. So the more you work with any of the frequencies, you end up anchoring them. And I know Mary, I've talked to her about this before. Sometimes I will just hear a tone, like I'll just get a tone of one of the frequencies I work with or an entity that I've worked with. And I know that if I lay down, or if I just even with my intention fall back into that frequency, it just takes me right off into an amazing little journey space. So you can really do a lot with sound. It's not just tuning forks. The whole universe is vibration, right? So as you're going through your everyday life, like anchor everything that you can. I do one exercise when I teach Reiki. Is it Reiki or is it another class? Well, either way. But I'll tell someone that, well, say your client needs the energy of rose, and I'll have them intend to flow the energy of rose through them, right? Then I give them rose petals. And when they do it, then they feel there's a difference between what they were channeling before and what they're channeling now with the energy of rose in their hands. So if you pay attention as you go through everything, as you go through the supplement aisle, as you go through the vitamin aisle, as you go through everything, if you're noticing the vibrations of things, if you need it for yourself or for another, you can more easily bring that energy through. Like you can intend it, intention drives it all, but it adds a certain level of potency if you're familiar with that frequency and you can kind of zone into it, tune into it. Cool. Great question, Ernie. Thank you so much. And I'm glad the sound's better. I'll probably try to edit out. I know I won't edit. I'll just leave it up there. Maybe on a boring day, I'll go back and edit the video and take out the first part until we had better sound. Any other questions? Because today's stream is like a random live stream to answer random questions about random things. So anything on your mind, it doesn't matter what it is. We can go down any rabbit hole you like. Speaking of rabbit hole, let me show you this painting. Oh my goodness. I told you it would be random today. This is a painting that a friend of mine painted, Alice in Wonderland. It's pretty cool. The original has all kinds of holographic paint and things like that, but it is really cool. It's one of my new favorite little things at the center. I just have to get some picture hanging stuff to actually hanging up. So anyway, that's one of my favorite things right now. Everything's my favorite thing. Cool. What's going on in your guys' world? Anything going on that you need help with, or just a fun story you want to share, or anything like that? Go ahead and put it in the comments. We're happy to kind of talk to it. Let's see. What should we add here? We'll do one of these. Quiet group. All is one. It absolutely is, Ernie. Speaking of which, Ernie, we got to connect and talk about when we're going to do our talk on the Hawaiian tradition of Ho'oponopono, which I always know I mispronounce, but I'm just kind of at peace with mispronouncing it all the time. I don't have the graphic here. Oh no, that's backgrounds, so maybe I do. Let me go to the right spot. Yeah, so Ernie and I are going to be doing this talk eventually, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then coming up probably, maybe I'll do one of these on Friday. I'll either do the 5 Attitudes of Godliness, which is a concept from the works of Neil Donald Walsh, or the 10 Illusions, which is all based on a book called Communion with God. And they're spiritual books, not religious books. So when you say God, I know like I'm a recovering Lutheran. I have a lot of my clients are recovering Catholics. So it's like, how do you embrace some of the good stuff that was contained within religion without having the sour taste in your mouth if you had bad experiences with all that? So those are a couple of the things. Or we're going to do, let's see, what's my fun one? Awakening. Oh, reincarnation, fact or fiction. That will be a fun one we can do. Love your attempt to say it. Yes, I know, Ernie. My attempt to say it. Maybe it's just like comedic relief now. Like I know I'm unintentionally, even if I could say it right, why bother now? Because it's kind of like Hank. It's all fun for everybody to watch me try to say it. But it's the energy behind the word that counts, right? Doesn't matter if I mispronounce it. I don't know. But Ernie and I are going to be doing a talk on that, and it's if you don't know about that particular modality, it's about the space that you're holding when you're going through the words that you say during that little process, and you're in a way you're taking responsibility for all the heaviness of someone else as though it's your own. And in that space, really, that is the way it is because you're the only one in the room. But we got ahead of ourselves. We'll do that a different day. Let's see. Mary Ford says, my friend Terry Arata Hales has an amazing podcast dealing with religious traumas. So yeah, definitely we can check that out. Yes, Joseph, I know it's a Ho'oponopono. Maybe I got it close. If I have it in front of me, I'll do a much better job at it. Moon is at 0% Scorpio now. I don't remember what that means. So that means it was just void of course, right? Before it changes signs, there's like a little void of course time, which is really potent and a lot of times for magical workings. For those of you who don't know astrology, the moon, every 2.5 days, it moves into a different sign. And one of the astrology classes I did, which was really fun, we had like a whole month or two that we would do like this moon journal, and you would keep track of things that you were going through emotionally, and it would be interesting to see how that would correlate to the moon. And they blindsided us with it because they didn't tell us that's what we were doing. We went through and we did the journal, and then the next time we met, they like brought up, okay, well now this is what was going on. Okay, the moon was in this sign, and it was kind of like backwards validating in a way because we had already done the journal, and then we were getting validation, seeing the shifts based on where the moon was. So it was really a cool experience. Emancipate your mind is what Mary Ford believes the podcast is doing. But dealing with religious traumas, the church that I had gone to, it was like right at the end, the church was really failing, and they ended up having to give the church away to prevent from losing it, and like the whole congregation just like all got really wounded from the whole experience. So, and then I seeing the impact on my dad and how all that, because he was the president of the church at the time, so it was like a lot of stuff going on with that. So they have a saying in AA: spiritual or religion is for people who are afraid of going to hell. Spirituality is for people who have been there. I like that saying. For those of you who don't know, I've been sober like 12 years now. I was a professional drinker for many years, medicating my gifts because it was way easier, right? If you can't feel other people's stuff, except you still do feel it. You're never not aware. And one of the clearings I like to do for people is, what are you aware of that you're not willing to acknowledge that the body is acknowledging for you? Because as an infinite being, when you have an awareness, if you wish you didn't know, does it mean you don't know? If you pretend you don't know? Or do you still know, but now instead of making choices to make a different possibility, you're taking the energy and storing it in the body somewhere? So like, what if, a lot of the physical things going on are all representations of things you're aware of that you wish you didn't know? Yeah, interesting stuff. Thank you for chilling with me, Joseph and Ernie and Mary, and all you phantom people that are just watching but not saying anything, which is fine. If for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, I'm supposed to be doing a recording for a podcast called The Genius Zone, and the lady, I have a feeling, is like an hour behind, and what I thought was 10 o'clock is her 11 o'clock, or you get what I mean. It's 11 o'clock for me, maybe. So I thought we'll come on and do a little random things, random questions, random topics, anything on your guys' mind that you'd like to know about. Yesterday, our Magic of Breath class, and I know, Mary, you were trying to get in. My teacher, Zane, he lives down in like southern Ohio, and he lives on this community, and he lives on this ridge that when I went there, like there's no internet. I don't know how he has any internet at all. He has like a satellite, and depending on the clouds that day, you may or may not have an internet connection. Well, we had that big snow, and they thought they were going to get like an inch, and they ended up getting 4. And as he was leaving his house, they had plowed. He was leaving his house. He has like a Prius, and he gets down one hill, tries to get up the other, and he's stuck, and he can't get up either side of the hill, finally ends up doing like a donut sliding around, and then was able to use the momentum and go up the other side to get back to his house. But for all purposes, he was snowed in. So we're doing the class last night. We have his video off. And then every time someone would come into the Zoom again, it would really tank his audio connection. So I ended up having to lock the meeting so people who wanted to be there couldn't come in because it was just making the situation worse. And then on top of that, he still sounded like a drunk robot through a lot of the breathing exercise. But despite that, we only lost like 4 people through the whole Zoom call. And like the 18 that stayed on for the whole thing, the feedback was amazing. So despite having bad internet and bad everything else, people had this amazing experience. And to put this into a context that everybody can use, when you are finding yourself kind of being beat up by life circumstance, instead of looking at it as a victim thing or something out of your control, what could you create? What space could you hold to create a different possibility? Because in the midst of that chaos, if you can find a center, it's even more potent than if we hadn't had any internet issues at all. And we even had someone in from Peru, which was really cool. They found us. I don't even know how they found us. I think it was through meetup.com. She was just looking for stuff from Peru and found my Emergence of Being meetup. And they ended up signing up for the Zoom call. So it was pretty cool. But when things like that show up, what could you do to keep your center? And Mark Thomas, he gave this amazing analogy, and he uses it to teach kids meditation, is that when you go to the movie theater, before the movie starts playing and before the days where they had advertisements the entire time while you're waiting for the movie, the screen was just white. And that white screen represents the source and the presence and the silence that is underneath and part of everything. When the movie starts, when the chaos of the film begins and you have all this trauma and this drama, the screen is still white. The silence is still there. The source, the oneness is all beneath it. And so if you use that then as a tool, that when life really is crazy, remember that that screen is white. Remember that that silence is there. Remember that it is simply a part of all that is. And in that space, it takes the charge off of everything. And that's a wonderful little tool too, especially with kids, to start settling into the place of silence, recognizing that it's always there. And that was a saving grace when we had our first kid, because crying, I still heard the silence. It was pretty cool. And Andrew is offering meditating with tea and herbs, hoping to gain herbal knowledge. Any good techniques? Well, with herbs, when you're taking things internally, there's a whole world of things you have to be aware of. And I'm not trained as an herbalist. I am trained as an aromatherapist, which is a little bit different, because through the skin, things aren't counterindicated when as compared to when you actually ingest them. For example, grapefruit. Grapefruit is counterindicated with Coumadin and other cholesterol-lowering medications, where if you took it in a cream topically, applying it to the pulse points or whatnot, it isn't. So there's a lot of stuff just to be mindful of if you're going to be doing things with that. But still, with herbs and everything, less is more. Having too much of an herb can cause the opposite of the intended effect. But what I would recommend for you, get yourself a little bell like this. And a little thing that we would do in shamanism. Hey, Christian, how's it going? My brother-in-law and my sister tuning in. So like hold the herb in your hand and get a little bell, and you'll start ringing the bell like this. I won't do it with the microphone on, but you're going to be ringing the bell. And the words that you're going to sing are Armano, 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 Ahahayo, the name of the plant that you're working with. And what you're doing is you're calling in the spirit of the plant, because when you're just taking an herb or oil or anything like that, that could be just a chemical experience, but it could also be a spiritual experience, because all plants have a medicine. It doesn't have to be a psychedelic or anything like that. All plants, peppermint, chamomile, all of it have a medicine, and there's a consciousness. As in shamanism, we believe everything is part of this animated essence, therefore everything has a consciousness of some sort. Maybe not all self-aware conscious like we are, but there's a consciousness and it can be communicated with. So if you're working with peppermint or chamomile or rose or whatever it is, call in the spirit of the plant, and that could be your greatest teacher. The worst thing you can do is get cemented into a point of view that you read in a book, and then not being willing to receive additional awarenesses from the plant and all that good stuff. And Mary Ford is an herbalist. Maybe she could answer a question if you have one. So there is a particular question. We got an herbalist in the house, Mary Ford. We could do a live stream just on herbs, Mary. We can plan for that if you like. Cool. And Shirley, happy birthday. I sent a message on Facebook. Happy birthday. I'm sorry that I missed it. I just got your number again. So I do want to reach out and reconnect. It's been way too long. Let's see. Ernie was saying last night and on for most of February. What are you referring to, Ernie? Is that like the Mercury retrograde? Oh, yes, I got it. Because it went at like 3:05 p.m. Saturday. I think Mercury went retrograde on Saturday. And for those of you, Mercury going retrograde is not the end of the world. Like there's some people that literally like don't leave their house and don't do stuff. All planets, all astrology is like the autopilot of the universe. It's like Pinocchio just moving with the strings, right? But once you become conscious, you don't got to go with the flow. You can go with awareness and use the flow for its intended purpose. And Mercury retrograde is an amazing. Um, I just read my sister's comment that it threw me off. She's, well, you are in the Book of Faces, but you just don't log in anymore because I did make a comment. But anyway, I digress. There's skilled and unskilled applications to all energies. So with Mercury, it is a great time to finish up old things. But if you must start something, it's just be more aware than normal, like double check things, triple check things, but use that skill set when you are in the place of triple checking things while Mercury is in retrograde. Use that same attention to detail even when it's direct so that you can add more potency and things to that. Mary said, oh my God, can we combine astrology and herbology? I'm sure we could. I don't see why we couldn't. I don't know like what Ernie might know that. Like there's with astrology and things, there's like ruling planets for all kinds of different things. And I think that might translate to herbs as well, though I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure, but I'm sure we can combine it. Why not? Why not? But Mary, we should definitely talk. Even if we don't combine the two, like we could certainly do something on herbs because I'm an aromatherapist, and the applications of herbs and aromatherapy they can definitely go hand in hand. And there's sometimes that you want to do herbs over oils, and there's sometimes oils over herbs because oils are super potent. It takes or 1 drop of peppermint oil would be equivalent to drinking like 30 cups of peppermint tea. So you don't use them lightly, and less is always more. Ernie says, sure, we can combine. Absolutely. Ernie is an astrologer, and he's a more educated astrologer than I. Andrew's saying he would love to learn more about herbalism. So absolutely, Mary, let's see what we can create. We'll talk offline and see what we can create, make some live streams around it. And Mary's like, yes, Mary just started a YouTube channel called From Tarot to Table. Did I have it right? I might forget. Mary, post your YouTube channel in the comments and I'll put it up so people can find it. But if you guys haven't seen the 12-hour live stream that I did on the Emergence of Being channel, one of the things that we had on was Mary. One of the people we had on was Mary, and she just made peanut butter cookies, 3-ingredient peanut butter cookies. But I called her segment "The Artistry of Living" because she had such a profound experience a while back, just a couple months ago, really, and just started showing up to life with a new tenacity just to live. And like just from like looking at the sugar, how sparkly it is, to the sound that the dough made, she was like so fully present while she was making these cookies. That's what her channel is really about. Is it's like taking the element of tarot, like what really tarot, if you're like pulling a card today, what is it telling you? It's like what energy would be the greatest contribution for you today, or what energy do you need the greatest awareness for today? And then to build your whole day themed on that, including the food that you eat. That's kind of like the essence of what's going on today, and how do we put that on our food? And in shamanism, at least the Peruvian tradition, we have this whole idea of a kintu, which is 3 leaves, and you go through this whole process and you breathe your intentions, you breathe the energy of feeling how something is that's already manifested. So meaning if you want to be abundant, when you breathe it into the leaves, you're imagining what it is like that it is already so. You're imagining having that abundance already in the here and now. And in that vibration, you breathe into the leaves. And then when you chew the coca, if you're doing the coca ceremony, you're actually internalizing these things and you're helping to digest the heaviness and the things that are around, not letting it show up. So if you're going to be doing the same thing with cooking, you could be putting a ton of intention into your cooking. And then when you're eating the food, you're almost having this communion where you're helping to actualize and internalize your hopes and dreams and your can't talk. Let's see. Andrew was saying, Mary, I had the best cookie making experience after watching your video. So Andrew has seen it already. That's awesome. So you actually have context and know what I'm talking about. How cool is that? And Ernie says, her enthusiasm is stellar. I have to agree. And Mary said that she only has a welcome video up so far. There is the YouTube channel, but it is from Table to Tarot, right, Mary? I think. YouTube. Gotta check it out now. From Table to. Oh, I'm on YouTube and I see like I'm live now. Of course I am. From Table to Tarot. Oh, I found it. All right, so we can give everybody a little taste of Mary Ford here, I think. Let me do a little screen share here. Hope you aren't too self-conscious, Mary. Oh no, I'm going to do the screen share. I have to make sure I share audio. I won't share too long because, well, Mary, if I get hit with a copyright thing, you'll work with me to get it taken down, right? If I show people your welcome video. I think with fair use, you're able to play like a small excerpt. Oh, let's see, can we hear it?
From tarot
Maybe not.
Table.
No, I can't hear it.
I cannot wait to create with you here. I wanted this video to be more explaining about a little bit what it's going to be, because nobody knows 100% exactly what you're going to create when you set out to create it. You have that idea in your head, and then it ends up becoming something even more beautiful and glamorous than you think it's going to be. Or you scrap it and start over, and then you create the more beautiful, glamorous thing, right?
Perfect. So there's a little taste of Mary, and that is such a profound thing that you said in just that little opening. That video is 6 minutes long, so head over, check out her welcome video, subscribe to that channel too. Mary is really amazing, but that's the thing. Like when what she just said there is, you go to create it, you don't know what it's going to look like, and you can always scrap the idea and then create a better one. And we are trained as children, like once you start something, you finish it. That's it. And there's an element of value to that, absolutely. But at the same time, if you start something and it just doesn't sing to your soul, like why continue? Give ourselves permission to change our minds. And I get it. When we're kids, we're changing our mind every 10 seconds and it drives our parents absolutely insane. But don't let those conditionings from childhood stop you from giving yourself permission today to change your mind and to continue to, choose the things that are the greatest possibility for you. So cool. And let me I'll put the link to the video in the comments. And then if you want to check it out, you can just click the video and subscribe and all that good stuff. Yeah, and the other thing, that's the thing with Mary's thing, her son Luke comes into, and it's going to be a family oriented too. They're doing it all together as a family, which my kids do want to start their own YouTube channel, but they're more interested in like doing trick shots, like putting stuff on the little lawnmower thing and like hitting it with a Nerf gun and knocking a balloon off or something. I don't know exactly what they want to do, but they're all about wanting to have a YouTube channel and create content that is just fun for them. Why not? You're already a kid having fun. Why not make a channel and show people how much fun you're having, I guess. You're welcome, Barry. Can't wait to see your videos too. And if you want to check out on Emergence of Being, well, if you go to just eob.center, that is my link tree for Emergence of Being. And if you go there, if you scroll down, there's like a link to the broadcast. It's a 12-hour live stream. And if you miss that, what it is one day on a Tuesday before January 16th, the Tuesday before January 16th, I'm having my coffee, and I just had this idea, why don't I have like my mesa for 24 hours on Saturday? Because that's when there was like all this stuff in the news about armed protests and all these things. And there's a metaphysical rule that energy flows where your attention goes. And I thought, well, I would love to give people something other than that to put their attention on. And it went from that to saying, well, I could have the live stream on my Mesa, and then I could go home and I could hop on every hour or so and just do a little talk, but people can come just sit with the Mesa. And then it turned into, well, I could have guests on. And it turned into a 12-hour live stream with different guests that I consider kind of spiritual leaders in their field. We have Elaine Thomas from Fellowships, her husband. We had Param, who is the professor at Baldwin Wallace, who created the Why Life Sucks series, which is all based on the works of Osho. We had a ton of amazing stuff. But Mary's videos in there, and she just did a spectacular job. So check that out. That's eob.center. Let's see. Casey's messaging me, but he knows I'm streaming. I can't just listen to his audio message. We could listen to it together, but maybe it's inappropriate. We shouldn't do it. Mary. Oh wait, I thought Mary was jumping on the stream, but it was the screen share. I was like, how did you even get the link? But it was just the link from YouTube, which would have been funny. Mary, if you want to hop on, like you need headphones, but I could have you come on if you want. Let's see. Joseph was saying, fascinating times to be alive, emergence of being with culminations of lifetimes up early last few days with these higher energies coming in, Schumann resonance off the charts, and another energy field found within our solar system affecting planets too. Everyone waiting on solar flash saying it's overdue. Could be. And the Schumann resonance, for people who aren't familiar with that, is the pulse of the planet. And when the astronauts were in space, they were getting sick and they couldn't figure out why. Well, they did figure out why, because they weren't on the Earth. And they ended up having to play the frequency of the Schumann resonance. So while they're on the space station, ultrasonically, because you can't hear the vibration, it's usually lower, though recently it's been going into the audible range. Imagine you always hear the Earth everywhere you go. How cool would that be? But the Schumann resonance is kind of like our connection to the planet. So one of the greatest ways you can ground yourself is if you have the frequency of the Schumann resonance, which is going to fluctuate, or the frequency of Ohm, which is the orbit of the planet around the sun. That's 136.1, and that's Ohm. So that's another grounding one. And then you also have the Earth's Earth day frequency, which is, I forget the frequency, hertz, but it's like the rotation of the planet. So there's like 3 different Earth frequencies that you could use for grounding and all that good stuff. Cool. Anything else? This lady still has not messaged me. So maybe there is no recording today. I won't be sad. It's all good. We're doing this instead, and this is a lot of fun. Just a random live stream. I should just do random live streams more often where we just talk. And we'll see. Maybe we'll plan it next time so people know that I'm going to do it, though, instead of just saying, hey, talk to me. I'm bored. Any other questions or any topics at all? Anything? We talked about herbs, astrology, tuning forks. We talked about all kinds of good stuff. Mary was just saying, oh my God, Joe, maybe that's why I was up at 3:30 repotting and moving around plants. Could be. And that's the thing, like feng shui and all that. There's like a huge truth to that. There was we talked briefly on feng shui during the 12-hour stream with one of the guests. I can't remember. Oh, the other Mary. It was another Mary that was on before Mary. But like she offered just a few things about the door to your home and like things. But like as your energy shifts, you might want to redecorate. You might want to move a plant and just kind of look and just see, like, would moving something in my room, would moving something in my space create a greater possibility? And then just kind of follow it. This, like on the mesa, which I try to show, but my camera wasn't able to bring it up easily. All the time you're looking at the mesa and moving things around subtly. I don't know, Mary and Joe, I know you're in the apprenticeship program this year. If you've noticed that you might just feel like something's off and I want to move this over here. Or when I work really deeply with a client, I'll actually like call their energy in and I will feel how the mesa feels based on where they're at. And I'll arrange everything based on that. And then I'll start doing work to move things back to where they're quote unquote supposed to be and be more balanced. Let's see. Ernie was saying 0 of a zodiac sign is wild card. Anything goes. What is 0 of a zodiac sign, Ernie? Tell me more. Tell me more. 0 of a zodiac sign. Or is that just when we're referring to the Great Conjunction when Saturn and Jupiter came to 0 degrees Aquarius together? Is that like the 0? Like maybe that's what you're referring to. We'll find out shortly. I'm sure he's feverishly typing now. What's more about the flash Joe speak of? I had a download years ago about things involving solar flares and things. I don't know if he's referring to a Joe, you can give us a little bit more info if that's what you're talking about, solar flares or flash. I think it's probably something similar to solar flares. And Ernie was talking about 0 Scorpio moon now. Yeah. So there's always I almost clicked the wrong thing. Joseph was talking about the solar flash over the past 6 months. Charges charges water with shungite stones in intention, brought a plant back to life. Amazing little in-house experiment. Shungite is amazing. Like they actually have I don't remember all the specifics, but there's something that they actually use shungite for, like in a commercial application to shield certain energies. So it's not like metaphysical woo-woo or anything like that. Like crystals actually have energetic purposes that aren't just belief system based. And your computer, your cell phones, all of it has quartz. So like when you think about crystals, part of it is magic and physical representation of intention, and part of it is actual properties that that particular combination of atoms and electrons and all that has in the physical world. So like they're multifaceted type things. Going back to the sun, Joseph was saying linking sun with evolution in our ice core records. Ah, so like when they look like take cores from Antarctica and things, they can tell from the layers of sediment and things like kind of the history of the planet. Carbon dating is done the same way. They take a core, they can see how long ago certain things were there. So based on seeing trends in those cores, they would be expecting that we would have a similar event sometime in the near future, and it is potentially overdue. You can also plug them in a wall. Oh, you're talking about shungite, Mike? Magic Mike is in the house. There goes the stream. Again, Mike. Healing wands. Wands are amazing. Like if you want to create like a potent healing tool for yourself, get like a nice piece of wood, you can wrap it, you can put all kinds of stones in it and use that as like a little healing tool. I have one from Ken Harsh, who is one of my crystal teachers. Ken was amazing. I owe him, well, I don't owe him anything. I am very grateful for Ken for everything that he did. And for those of you who never had an opportunity to meet Ken, if you've ever been to the Universal Light Expo in Columbus, he was the one who started it. I called him the godfather of crystals. My first experience with Ken, I was at a Radius Garden in East Lake, which was a metaphysical shop. I go in for a crystal class, and the next thing I know, he's like launching crystals at people, like hitting them in the head and stuff, like waking them up and making sure they're paying attention. He would just like throw crystals, give them to you. He did all these rock buying trips where he would want to go to Egypt and he would make a trip out of it, so he basically could go for free, buy everything he wanted and ship it back. Did the same thing with Peru. He had the most reasonable prices on everything, but he just had this communion with not just the stones but everything. He was talking about in Peru there was like a bumblebee ceremony or something, and as he was talking about, like a bee came and landed on his nose and then like took off. So like he just had this magical shamanesque quality to him, and I don't know what his official training was or anything like that. But the chumpy stones from Peru, my friend Dave Orlasky, who was my roommate at Lilydale, he had gone with Ken to Peru, and from 12 different villages got all these different, was it 12? Let's see, there's 7 chumpies, 8, 9, oh, it's 10 stones. He went to like 10 different places and got 10 different stones from different mountains, different villages. They looked like they were carved together, but they were all from different places, and he got it for him. And then he went to Egypt and to all these other places and held him a ceremony. And then he comes to Lolita for our next class with Elaine, with Fellowships of the Spirit. And Spirit says, "Give him to Hank." And he's like, "Really, Spirit? Really?" And he did gift them to me, but only 7 of the 10 at the time. And then I'm like, "Well, what do you do with them?" And he's like, "I have no idea." He never got trained in them. And then I started looking for someone who could teach me how to use these chumpy stones. And that's how I really came across Zane. And that was my whole introduction to shamanism, the Paco Cuna tradition of Peru. And for my first Pachamama, I was sold. As it sang to my soul, and I was in it for the long haul. I already said Ken was a great experience. He certainly was. Mike, ultrasonic wands, etc., crystals, metals, electricity. Just talking a little bit more on crystals. Joseph, and Shungite, Goddess Elite does have some, if anybody's interested in Shungite. I don't know if she has on our website. If you're not local, if you just message the store page, she could hook you up with some Shungite, because it is not easy. Well, I'm sure you can find it online, but like finding it also where you know that it's what it is and not like dyed agate or something like that. It's good to know your sources when it comes to crystals. But Joseph said, yes, many benefits with Shungite. He bought a couple of ounces in Russia, $100 an ounce. It is not a cheap stone. And Joseph is saying, now looking into pyramid technology with copper tubes. We have, my friend Brian Daniel Edwards has a 21-foot copper pyramid. And fun little thing that we did the first year of the Shaman Apprenticeship Program when Brian was in it, we have this one weekend called the Death Weekend. It's where you go through like these death rites. And you guys had a variation of that online. But what you do when we do it in person, there's kind of like the ceremony that everybody writes a eulogy, and you are bundled up on a table like you're almost mummified. And then it's just like you're at your wake, and everybody's kind of talking about you and offering their like what they loved about you and all that. And then after that whole experience, there's this energy process where your energy system kind of gets uncorked, and you're able to get lifted up out of the body. And we hang, like, let you be there for a little bit, and then we put you back down. And it's simulating a shamanic death. But anyway, we couldn't just do it the normal way with Brian in the class. So he brings in a 10-foot version of the pyramid, and we have a pyramid built over the mesa, and then we put the table over the mesa. And so like everybody in that year that had the death rites also had it in this 10-foot copper pyramid, which was gridded with cinnabar and selenite and had a big Vogel crystal in the top, and it was quite an experience. Let's see. Mary was saying, I have shungite shaped like a Star Trek symbol that's wanted a new home. So you can contact Mary for it. You want to buy some shungite, you can get some Star Trek shungite, potentially. And let's see, Joseph went to Rochester Tachyon Chamber. Pyramid laid down for a healing meditation. Interesting experience. I want one. I know what you mean, man. There was one show they had like this, they called it like an ascension chair. So it had all the sacred geometry, and they like hooked, I didn't do it. I just saw pictures because I wasn't at this particular show, but I guess it was some sort of ascension chair where you would sit in it and they would like zap you, and you were supposed to be able to get all these little higher states and stuff. Definitely looked interesting. If I was in person, I would definitely give it a try. That's the one thing I miss, going to those little shows, getting to experience all that. I run a show, and it's just not the same. Like, you can't really go and participate in your own show because you're always running around having to put out little fires and whatever's going on for people. But when you go, like, I was at the Journey Expo years ago, there was this one company called Touch of Serenity, and they had this huge, I think it was an octagon drum, like this, probably 6 feet across at least, and it was up on legs, and they would have you lay down, and they would put the drum over you, and then she would do this whole healing ceremony while she's banging on the drum. And it was just like one of the craziest out-of-body experiences I ever had, all from the drum beat. And in a lot of the shamanic traditions, they would have like a drum, like I think it was 160 beats per minute roughly, where they're really just drumming, and it helps the shaman enter into that altered state and then do the healing work and doing the trance work and all that. So there is like a huge thing with like just this easy pulse, 160 beats per minute, or whatever. Ask spirit, like, what beat, what sounds would create the greatest possibility for you, and then just start doing that. If you don't have a drum, just tap your heart, and you can just use that, or rattle. Anything like that can help you really get into those little altered states. Cool, great conversation, guys. Thanks for chilling with me. Now it's 11. I still haven't got a message from her, so we'll give her like 10 more minutes, and then I will we'll call it a day for my random stream talking about random things with random people. Or whatever I called it. Do you enjoy this? Should I do this more often? Just like a random stream with no purpose other than just to shoot the shit? I think it's fun. Especially when I do it at the office and I don't have the kids like going, ah. I have to make it back up to the Buffalo area. It's been a long time. I have a friend, Angie Hewitt Apt. She has a center called Santosha up in Buffalo, and I usually make it out there a couple times every year. Not so much with COVID, though we are going to do some collaborations virtually, maybe do an intuitive development circle. That's another thing. Anybody who's interested in classes and things, like, what are you interested in? If I can't teach it, I probably know someone that can. We can put together all kinds of fun stuff for whatever's in the ethers of what people want to learn about. I'm getting a whole bunch of yeses to doing the random streams of talking. Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely do that again. It is fun. I think it is great. Thank you, Debbie. I think it's fun too. And thank you all for your contributions, because if you weren't talking to me, like, who knows what I would be talking about? You know, it's nice to have a little direction from folks. And I'm very close to launching my new website. I probably just need another day, maybe perhaps two, and hanksuttler.com will be relaunched with all new fun stuff. Ooh, and for anybody who's looking to kind of enter into the space, if you message me, I got a link for something that oh, can I find my link really quick? Maybe I can. I sent it to Mary, so let me find it. Something that totally changed my life, like the connection that I was about to be on today for recording. There is this thing called Be on TV Boot Camp. And I didn't even think about being on TV. I don't know what it was when I saw because it came up in my Facebook feed as an advertisement. And I thought, well, that it feels fun. So like I'll go ahead and go on there. They like give you everything you need to be on TV. Like they go through like 5 days where each day it's about a reframing thing and then how to pitch yourself and all that. And all that was well and good. But I've made like I could have a different guest on a podcast every day for like 200 days. I just have to actually sit down and start scheduling people. The connections were off the hook. Some of the people on the 12 hour stream were from that boot camp, and they're all people that are hungry to start expressing their unique voice in this world and are done with being judged for it, because once you start doing live streams like this or going on TV or whatever it is, you get over really fast about doing stupid stuff. And they say that, perfection is out, authenticity is in. And I couldn't agree more with that. So I would invite you to be authentic. But if you are looking to ever get into anything like what I'm doing, like talking, or if you do have the desire to be on TV, I'll find the link somewhere. I have to, Mary, you and I talk too much. I can't find the link. I know I sent it to you. I'm just trying to scroll back and find it. Jot form. Wow, it's going to be far. Well, I'll probably do a whole stream just talking about that because I joined as an affiliate. So like if it does call to you, if you sign up through my little link, I'd get a little, they give a contribution back. But the connections were off the hook. So even for that, if you just want to connect with people that are wanting to do this, couldn't recommend it enough, even if you have zero desire to be on TV. And it's like cheap too. Like it's like $55 for the 5 days, and it turns into 10 days because they end up starting it early and they have different things throughout the time. And then of course they have other things you can get into after that. But for the $55, it is crazy good. Let's see. Andrew is also saying yes to this. Cool. I like your little logo, Andrew. The H. I don't know if you saw mine. Like I'm big on personal branding. Like my awareness was every time I learned something new, I would redefine everything I did. So I would like make new website, new business cards, and oh, now it's thesonicshaman.com, and now it's this.com, and now it's this.com. And then a spirit said, hey, you're always you. And I'm like, oh. And that's when I came up with hanksuttler.com. And so like I don't have to rebrand myself every day because I learned something new and now I want to like focus on that. So I'm always me. And so I was just noticing Andrew's thing with the little H, and his last name begins with an H. So I'm really big on that. Like brand you. You are always you. And if you're promoting something that you do, that's great. But is that you, or is that something you do? So brand you. And I forgot what I was going for now. I was about to bring something up, but now I forgot what it is. So I'm actually Faith on my boyfriend's page because he has premium. Uh, cool. Well, thank you, Faith. Now I know who you are too. Cool. So you can never trust people on the internet. Who are they really? And Moon has moved to 0 degrees. Well, Moon has moved to 1 Scorpio. Feel the shift. At the moment I do. I feel my coffee though. But that's something to be said. Like planets, they all have these impacts, and it's like when planets have an aspect just means that they had a relationship that was significant from an angle perspective. So like a 90-degree angle, that's an aspect. 180 degree, when they come into conjunction, all that is aspects. And think of it like a pebble going into a pond. It creates this ripple effect. And if you know that wave is coming, just like if you ever went to Jago Lake, for those of you who are local, like you had the wave pool, and if you were far out enough towards where the wave came, you would just go up and down and it wouldn't really impact you. But if you weren't expecting it and you were more in the shallow end, that thing hits you and it's like setting you off, right? So astrology is somewhat like that. It's like these ripple effects, and if you if you know that the waves are coming, if you know what to expect, you just deal with it and you move on, and nothing, no big deal. But if you're unconscious, it can be a little bit blindsiding. Joseph is saying, many documented experience done in Egypt pyramids, seeds grow better for crops. There's also you can cut copper tubing into a particular length. It's called a cubit, and this is a technique that they use to change geopathic stress points of properties. Mary can attest to it. I came out and did her house the other day. So if you want to do that, she wants to learn. So if people need geopathic stress, I'll take Mary out with me and we'll get you all scored away. But what you can also do, like besides burying it at the corner points and midhaven points, you just cut the tubing to the right frequency, and you can put it in the earth, put a little quartz in it, and it helps just the like plants and gardens and everything. Like you will find that the plants will just grow better. Now, what you'll also find is it attracts the deer. So if you're going to use it for your gardens, you might want to put up a little deer fence and things of that nature as well. Jay and I are doing a meditation and art therapy to the Garden of Self March 13th. March 13th is my birthday, Mary. We will be doing a new thing every month on the 13th. Well, I very much approve of your day of choice, Mary. Let's see. Jennifer is feeling the Mercury retrograde. Maybe I should get a Mercury fork and we can get balance with Mercury. And Mary was saying there is an astrology to picking herbs, picking them on certain wavelengths for certain uses. Now, when you're going to be planting gardens, Mary, too, one thing that you want to do is the seeds that you're using from because like a hoodoo, which is African, no, there's African influence, American folk magic. There's a greater potency when you grow your own herbs and everything. So instead of just buying peppermint if you need it, it's like you cultivate it yourself. And you even start by having the seeds that you're going to plant and you like suck on them a little bit, like you're putting your essence in. And a couple things with that, the saliva, the acid from the saliva helps the seeds germinate, but you're also like kind of merging with that seed. You're having the synergy with it, and then you plant that and it adds even more potency to the herbs that you're growing. And then if you know what you're going to use it for, when you harvest it is all different potencies. And it's really, intention drives it all you really need is intention. However, that being said, if you combine your intention with collective consciousness and you combine your intention with all these like elements that could add potency, it certainly can add a lot to it. Not that you need to, but you can certainly do it. I say use as much physical representation of intention as you can, crystals, things, but without losing the awareness that it's all you. But it really helps with that physical, because you're tapping into everybody that has the point of view that a cubit does something, or that the clear crystal quartz does something, or that sucking on the seeds in your mouth does something. You're tapping into this collective consciousness and just adding potency. Mercury retrograde lasts till February 21st. Good to know. Let's see. Mary said this about the copper pipes. Oh my God, it's amazing. The copper pipes for geopathic stress. My plants are growing better now. Yeah, well, we did a lot of stuff at Mary's house, but that was what I started with, was the geopathic stress. A lot of times if people need a house clearing, I send them a link. I tried to do it to Mary. I thought she would just go away, but I came out to her house. Just send her the link to send them the link to do the process of burying the rods on the property, and usually just that is enough to shift the energy enough where the people don't need any more work. But it is really fun to do the work. Let's see. She says, "Oh man, laugh out loud. You get to come party free. Laugh out loud. Cool. We'll do that." Let's see. So Jennifer's asking, so the copper pegs, does this have anything to do with crystal gritting? No, but you could combine it with crystal gritting. And you could do wood pegs. So like there's two different lengths that you use, and they're two different measurements taken from Egypt, from the pyramids. There's these things they call cubits. That's could be a whole video in and of itself. Copper is better, one, for the metal, and two, it doesn't disintegrate. If you use wood, then you're going to have to redo it eventually because the wood's going to break down. So you take your copper tubing, you cut it in the desired lengths, And in the corners, you bury the longer ones. And in the midpoints, you bury the midpoint ones. And it doesn't necessarily have to be to the property line. It's just the area that you want to shift the geopathic stress. So in Mary's case, they had a ley line going through. They had all this energetic stuff going. And doing this is going to kind of redirect that so you don't have like hot spots in the middle of your house and things of that nature. What you could do then is into each of those copper pipes, and Mary and I did an offering for each pipe and called in a different entity that would act somewhat as a guardian, which is not part of the normal technique. It's just something extra that I do. So we were calling in an archangel here, a Loa here, the three pillars from the tradition. So we called in something for each one, but you could also use quartz and put them on the corners and put amethyst in the midpoints. So you could turn it into a grid, though a crystal grid would be a whole separate application. There is a guy, Freddie Silva, an amazing DVD. It's called Temple Building, and he shows you how you can build Stonehenge in your living room by doing crystal grids. It's phenomenal work. It's one of the coolest little workshops I ever took. Is gridding a word? It is now. Crystal gridding, yes. Yeah. Why are you asking me that, Jen? You know it's a word, right? At least in the metaphysical community. Oh my God, so much amazing with the pipes, dude. Talk about the tall one. So at Mary's house, there was a lot of things going on, but I had this awareness that, and now when I do house clearing, so if you're ever going to call me out, I'm not necessarily going to be telling you what I'm picking up on. I did for Mary because she's in the shaman program, and I felt that it would be some good teaching points. But in general, for a house clearing, people don't necessarily need to know the trauma and the drama on the land or anything like that. But we're down in like this, I thought it was going to be like, just a basement. We dealt with what I thought was going to be the hot spot up at the house where there was like a big impactful event that occurred in the hallway or whatnot. We dealt with that. We're down in the basement. And I just had this sense. I asked her, I'm like, did the person who lived here before you, did they have to do with building the house? Because I was feeling that it was somebody associated with building. And not only did the person before her, but the original person also was associated with building the house. So my awareness was that when they were cultivating the land to build the house, they found or uncovered like bones or something like that. We would call them the tall ones, like an elongated skeleton. And my awareness was that the person who was building it, they had so much money tied up, they couldn't wait, and they just kind of moved it and got rid of it. And it created like this experience where there was like the land was very hurt by this, and it wanted vengeance and all that. And it kind of whispered to the people that were associated with the project, you need to live here, you need to live here. So it could kind of punish them in a way. And this is all story. This is all just a drawing out of like energies that were taking place. But when I shared that with Mary, like you could just feel like this, you just knew that it was true. Like you had those truth bumps, you just knew. And there's this technique that I did called time mending, where though that happened in the past, what we can do is we can just kind of bend time around, and though those were disturbed, we can put this energy synergy of as though it hadn't been. And as I was doing that, you just felt this peace and calm and healing effect for the land. And it was just a really amazing little moment. So did I do it justice, Mary? We can talk about that again when you're on, because I'm sure you had all kinds of different points of view and awarenesses than myself. But that was where we went. Jennifer got truth bumps. Yes, that happens to me a lot. That's why I joke with Melissa from Goddess Elite that she's an alien. We were talking about something from her past, and I jokingly said, "Oh, because you're an alien." And I was like, "Oh, you really are an alien." Just messing with her, but fun stuff. Mary was saying, "Laugh out loud. I have truth bumps now listening again." Now, the important thing here with all of this is also that when things like this come up, not to get caught up in the story, because really there is only this ever-present moment of now, and we're aware of an energy, and that's a story that was told to put context around the energy to deal with it. And especially when it's your own personal truths, never get caught up in the story. That's like the trauma and drama. But there's sometimes with the Western mind, like you might have an awareness of an abuse in somebody or whatnot, and a story must be told. A story must be told because the Western mind, they're just not gonna let it go otherwise. But if you can tell the story with the space of, you're not getting caught up in the story. All we're doing is we're putting a pretty little box around the hoocha so that you know what it is you're throwing away, and now we're going to get rid of it. But it doesn't matter what the story is. It can be It could be anything. But 9 times out of 10, when you do tell the story, it resonates and they're able to actually pick out in their life where these things occurred. It could also be totally fictional. You tell a story of something they don't remember that was from when they were in the womb, and it wouldn't matter what the story is. All they need is a box to put the hoochie in so they can throw it out, because without having the box, the Western mind sometimes just doesn't want to let go. So that's what that's about. Cool. Great conversation, guys. Never thought I would be talking about Mary Ford's house clearing experience. But there we go. Anything else? My coffee's almost gone. And let me know what kind of content would you guys like. Like, this is definitely fun. I'll do this more. Maybe I'll pick a regular day to have like the random Hank meanderings. Last call. You got questions, I'll still keep talking. So give it 30 seconds or so. Otherwise, I think I've been stood up by my genius zone friend. That's all good though. Got plenty of other things to create today. And this was fun. So had I not been stood up, I wouldn't have done this. And I wouldn't have realized how fun and amazing it is just to come out and talk with no with no purpose whatsoever. Let's see. Other than to have fun. Always to have fun. Oh, and I guess I'll just mention this. The lady who, well, I wonder if she'll show up. The lady who I was going to be recording with, she's going to be a guest on our Friday show with Dr. K. She's called the Lymph Doctor. And she, assuming that who knows, something could have come up too, is that kind of world where things come up crazily. But if she is okay and all that good stuff, she should be on Friday at 10 o'clock with Dr. K and I. Let's see. Joseph was asking, how is our traveling brother Brian? He is here in Cleveland. In fact, we've been hanging out a little bit, not as much as I would like, but he's home for the moment. He's taking care of a few things that need taken care of, doing a little bit of healing, and then he's planning to hit the road and probably go south, because it is amazing he stayed here as long as he has. He is such a tropical baby. Think about it. He left Cleveland, went to Mexico, went to Australia, went to Hawaii, and then he comes back just in time for our Cleveland winter. Energetically, probably very appropriate. The winter is the energy of renewal. And in the fields, if you look at farmers, it's the winter that the boulders get heaved up. So right now is the time. Where's my original wound that needs healing? Asking that question and letting that energy get heaved to the surface so you can deal with it a lot more consciously. Ooh, the love doctor. Who's the love doctor? The lymph? Is that the love doctor? I don't know. Seems out of context, Mary. I'm not sure what you're saying there. But we'll have that on for Dr. K. So let's see. So was my friend in Australia redirected? You could say that. The thing is, if you, in life in general, if you feel you need to move somewhere to find something or to heal something or to get away from something, the same patterns will just reemerge, because you are the only one in the room, and it doesn't matter where you go. You are the common denominator. And if you haven't dealt with it, it will manifest again in a different box. So coming home and being at his parents for a little bit, it is an amazing time to let those wounds from childhood shimmy to the top and like really deal with it and all that. But that's the biggest thing. Like, be you no matter where you're at. You don't need to go somewhere or do something in particular in order to be you. My little saying for the universe is, source is all there is, all at once, in the ever-present moment of now. All you have to do is choose who you're going to be in creationship to your perceived reality, and the universe will offer to you opportunities to express the being through doing. But if you have to go to do something first, the beingness will always be subject to an external event, which means you'll never have fulfillment long term. It might seem like it, but it's gotta come from within. And the only way you have that sustained beingness from within is if you deal through your shit. And it's not a bad word. Spiritual, human, in transition, all that hoocha, all that heaviness is there to make us grow. It's there to be fuel. I gave an example. If you guys saw my my live stream for Taking the Leap, it was all based on this Steve Harvey YouTube video, which is amazing. And he would say, your gifts are like a parachute. You got to leap for your chute to open up and then you can soar. But Spirit gave me a different analogy when I was going into that. It's like a hot air balloon. You can jump with your parachute, right? But if you haven't dealt with your hoocha, eventually you're going to land and crash. And I use like celebrities who they definitely found their gift, right? Britney Spears, she was in the spotlight, and then she had some issues. I think there's been many artists like that. So they're soaring on their gifts, but did they ever do their work? And is it ego run riot, which is edging God out, or do they have that connection to be congruent with the totality of their being, body, mind, and spirit, versus soaring on their gifts from ego, which maybe isn't the best centered place to do it from? But if you look at it as a hot air balloon, and you have this amazing ability to transmute energies, because we're like the tree, right? We can take all the elements and we can create something new with it. So when I talked earlier about the A and B healer, you don't want to just move heaviness from point A to point B. Instead of just taking your sandbags that are holding your balloon down and getting rid of them where there's still a problem somewhere, because you can't escape. You're the only one in the room. Wherever you put it, it's still you dealing with it, even if it's somebody else's problem now, because we're all one, even though we're all separate. Greatest truths are paradoxes. But what would it take for you to take that bag of sand and use that sand as fuel for that fire to raise you higher and to make you soar faster? And to, pretend there's little jetpacks on the thing, feel it here so you can, go where you want to go. But really, it's more about the hot air balloon is a better, and for me, a better analogy, because you're using your hoocha, you're using your heaviness, all the wounds to raise yourself up. And then the astrology, right? It's creating those ripple effects. It's creating those waves. In shamanism, we say you're surfing the waves of creation. You're surfing the waves of the Kausai Pacha to where you want to go and actualize in life. So then it's about your awareness as the driver of that balloon. Where do I catch the current of the universe to take me where it is that I'm choosing to create and choosing to experience? And that's a wonderful analogy. So don't be afraid of your hoochas or anything like that. But wherever you go, you will always be. So if you didn't deal with it here, you'll deal with it somewhere else. It's a question of where it feels the funnest to do it, I guess. Let's see. I don't know what Mary was thinking I said. It happens though. Let's see. If you guys haven't checked out, like, my website is that normally, but it's under construction. The main site I'm running off of right now is Emergence of Being, and we got a couple things coming up if you're interested in any of that. But let me know. Like, I don't teach often, and I should teach more. And when I do teach, it's like, oh, great. But like the motivation to actually put together and hold a class is like, eh. But whatever you guys are interested in learning about, I'll start to put classes out there and see what it's about. Or if you're interested in sessions, I always forget to tell people, I'm a healer and I do that work. So if you're interested in virtual or live sessions, you can look me up and schedule too. Let's see, is there anything else I'm looking for? What else do we got going on? I guess that's it. Any final comments, questions, anything? Thank you for being here with me. This was a ton of fun. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, do that too. YouTube is like an enigma. It has all these weird rules and algorithms and stuff like that. And, Spirit, I was putting a lot of effort into figuring that out. And Spirit just said, be you, just do it. Like, I'll throw out, hey, please subscribe. But, I'm done trying to figure out the little algorithms and stuff like that. I'll just show up and do stuff. And I'll trust that Spirit will figure out all the other things. I'm not going to put too much more time into all that. But that being said, please like, subscribe, share, do all the things. Well, don't do it for that purpose, though. What I would invite you to do is, if truly you find inspiration for the things that I do, what contribution could you be to my efforts? And if that's sharing, subscribing, just telling a friend, hey, I met this crazy shaman online, you should check him out, whatever feels lightest to you for contributing and creating a little bit more of this in the world, do what feels like for you. One way you could do that is like, share, subscribe, make comments after the broadcast, because all that does tell Google that it's relevant. And when it thinks it's relevant, then it sends it out to more people. But what energy, space, consciousness, and choice could your body, being, and beyond be to create more of this in the world with total ease? And everything that prevents you from doing it, destroy and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That's the access clearing statement, which sounds like gobbledygook, but it's on purpose, because your brain goes, WTF, mate, what was that? And then before you know it, a shift just happened because the brain couldn't think about what was going on. We call that an NLP, an interrupt. It takes you out of the normal processing. The brain goes WTF, and before the brain gets back to normal, a shift occurred, and we just freaked out the ego. So anyway, I'm gonna get off of here. I'm gonna drop back home, see what the kids are up to. Thank you for being here with me. This was a ton of fun, and I look forward to doing these again. I'm going to be streaming for sure on Friday at 10, and I will probably be putting out like a Coffee Connect. Oh no, I have a thing in the morning. So Friday for sure, and then we'll see if I might come out earlier Friday, do a Coffee Connect before Dr. K, but we will see. Thank you so much for being here, and we will look forward to the next time, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.